Thank you very much. So, je m'appelle Patrick Stapfer. This is all my French I have. Sorry about that. I promise I will learn some French when I'm back in Austria. I'm from Vienna. I traveled here yesterday, and I'm really happy that I can be part of this OCaml meetup, which is amazing because there are so many OCamlers. I mean, it was expected in the epicenter of OCaml development. So, I'm board member of the Reason Association. I helped founding it. And just a few information what this is. So the Reason Association is a non-profit association located in Vienna, Austria. And we're dedicated to promote, support, and help in the development of the Reason programming language, the Reason syntax, which is built on top of the OCaml toolchain. So we're solely dedicated to the Reason ecosystem, but we embrace the OCaml foundation as our technical foundation per se. And we are also catering to the JavaScript community. ReasonML is a programming language which looks a lot like JavaScript. And this makes it very easy to onboard JavaScript developers to the OCaml platform. That's why we are here, and that's why I like to collaborate with OCaml developers as well. And another thing which is very important for me and for the organization itself, our values. We embrace, first of all, OCaml. That's very important because a lot of people are saying, well, Reason tries to steal our platform, our language, our user base. That's not true. We try to actually convert people to the OCaml type system. We try to connect the communities. And most importantly, we try to bring in great user experience, to make it nice, to improve the developer experience. And this is also what this talk is going to be about, a very, very small part of one of the achievements we had from our community. So our current focus right now is these small projects. So GenType is more BuggerScript related, where we can automatically generate OCaml types into BuggerScript compatible JavaScript types. So JavaScript developers don't need to figure out how to do interop, which is very nice. We contributed a little bit to ODoc. So maybe you have noticed it, but ODoc can yield Reason syntax now. So you can have both languages. And I'm also trying to contribute the toggle feature that you can toggle between both languages in the generated HTML documentation. We try to rebuild the Reason documentation a little bit so we can onboard users more concretely, more easily. And we also try to push the BuggerScript platform forward, which might sound controversial because a lot of people like GS of OCaml. But for our ecosystem, for our target group, JavaScript development, BuggerScript is a very huge asset. Also, we have a conference going on, which is ReasonConf 2019, side promotion. From the 11th to 13th of April, we still have conference tickets left. If you're interested in that, check it out on reasonconf.com. We would be happy to have you. So the more OCaml is, the better. And yeah, our association is completely non-profit, and we are also looking for donators and donations. So if you want to drive the OCaml and the Reason community forward, just talk to me later. So, but this is not about our association, this is about Easy. So what is Easy? So it's a package manager for deterministic and reproducible Reason, OCaml, and JavaScript project builds. This sounds a lot like OPAM, right? So it sounds quite similar, but let me explain what we try to build here, or what the maintainers try to build here. So let's talk a little bit about this deterministic word I was saying. So we have the JavaScript ecosystem. In the JavaScript, who is using JavaScript, by the way? Just raise your hands. So a few people who like to use JavaScript, I guess. So in the previous times on NPM, so the JavaScript package manager, we had this file called package.json. So whenever you defined your dependencies to your JavaScript project, you put it in there. And you did an npm install in the command line, and what it did, it was creating this node modules folder, putting all the dependencies in there, and all is good. And so if we have our users then, and like Max did download it and npm install it works for him, everything works. Susan did the same thing, and Francois did it as well, but for him it does break. Why? Because it's not deterministic. It really depends on when you check out the dependencies, when you download them. Because you have version numbers which just define a range of versions, right? So there was something missing to make it deterministic. In September 7th, 2017, there was a project called Yarn, which is also published by Facebook. And what they did was they added the yarn command, which looked like the npm command, but they also created this file called yarn.log. So during the installation procedure, they calculated the dependency tree with the exact version numbers, put it into the yarn log file, and whenever you yarn installed in a project which contains the yarn.log file, it will automatically just take these versions and not try to recalculate it. And this is very important because if you then go on each machine and do yarn install, it should just work on every machine the same way. So this is what I mean with deterministic. So now we have a problem. What about binaries? So if we have a build process in there, if we use C code or whatever code, C++, so npm and yarn cannot really track build packages. So whenever you're adding, for instance, Sass for compiling CSS, it requires a C dependency. And you add just a JavaScript dependency, it will recalculate the whole world and you have to wait for 10 minutes. And this is not feasible, especially if you have a lot of OCaml related projects. So we cannot really use npm or yarn as a dependency management system. Also, caching these compiled artifacts is really, really hard. And this is where easy comes in. So we wanted to have an npm-like experience that you can just check out the project from GitHub, you just say easy install, and it just works the same way as on every other machine. And you don't have to worry about setting up OPAM, you don't have to worry about setting up the right switch, building up your environment, don't mess up that you're working in parallel with another project. You just are in this one project with this context and use the Merlin version you want and don't be dependent on your global setup of OPAM. This was something which bothered me a lot when I came into the OCaml ecosystem. I just wanted to have an npm install and that's it. And Easy also tries to achieve a multi-package system workflow that you can consume open packages and you can consume npm packages with one tool. And this is a very important key to bring all the web developers to the OCaml platform. And I think the best way to show what I mean with this is to just demonstrate it so you can get an idea of what's going on. I prepared some use cases and hopefully I will not mess them up because I had not so much time to prepare my slides. Let's see. Yeah, Kitty does not like that. Here we go. So can you actually read this? Because before we had problems with... Can you see that? Yeah. Cool. Now is the question, can I see that? Oh, here we go. Right. So I set up a project which is called Hello OCaml. And just to give you an idea how this looks like, we have a binary, it's just a Dune project. We have a Dune file in there with a hello world, which runs for some reason LWT main. Then we have a package.json file. And if you look into this JSON file, I know JSON is not the most favorite format in the OCaml world, but I mean, it's just a format. We shouldn't be scared of it. So what we have here is just a normal thing what we have in JavaScript, but we have this interesting @opam dependencies thing going on. And we can also specify the OCaml version. And for dev dependencies, which are not relevant for the build, we can add Merlin and also OCaml here. I don't know why there's two versions, but it works anyways.
Java is repeat.
Where's that?
Wait, it is 2 times now on the blue.
That's a good point.
Is there a concept of release builds and development builds? Because that's the only reason why we see adding dependencies and dev dependencies.
I think we should not worry about it right now.
Yes,
That was a nerd sniping thing, you know. So, so first, what we want to do is, ironically, you install easy with npm. So you globally install it like this.
It works, right? Because you just told us that npm is broken.
I mean, for that, it's just fine. We download one binary and that's it. And they don't mess around with breaking versions and such. Anyways, so what we do in this project is we have a package.json. We just easy install it. OK, so now we have an error. Oh, I have no internet connection, right? So. Da-da-da. So we're doing an easy install, and in the first, it has 2 phases. In the first phase, when it installs, it tries to resolve the dependency graph and try to make sense out of the package dependencies and the transient dependencies of each package, and locks it down into one of these log files. And in the case of easy, it's not even a log file, it's a whole log directory. You don't have to worry about the content of this. The most important thing is that now we can do an easy build, and it will just build the whole project. In that case, it's using caching mechanism very heavily, so it doesn't really do anything because I've been running this project for some time. I will delete some cache information for you, then you can see how it will rebuild it. So now we can introspect some information what easy actually does in the background. So for instance, if we list the build artifacts, we can see that we have the OCaml version 406 10 in build and connected to the project. We have Lambda term, we have Dune, everything is in there. So we can also use easy to run arbitrary binaries. And what easy does is it injects the whole environment you need to find all your binaries. For instance, if we want to use easy OCaml find and list all dependencies, it will just run OCaml find from the easy cache. And to give you a sense where this is located, if you look for OCaml find, it will put in your home directory in the .easy folder, and then it uses some funny cache key I, and then the directory the build artifacts are located in. So easy does the whole environment encapsulation for you. It's basically a sandbox. And we don't even use OPAM here. It's just managed by easy. And we can also drill down if we want to have more context information. For instance, we want to know what kind of libs it built in this project. We can drill down in this as well. So it's kind of like OCaml find, but a little bit more visual. So we can see that lambda term requires lambda term or builds lambda term. We have LWT, which has the library LWT Unix and LWT. Or if we want to go even to the module level, we can just list all the modules which are built in this scope, which I find really awesome if you need to troubleshoot something. So, since this is a Dune project, it can also index all the build artifacts you have in there. We have, for instance, an executable which is named hello. So if you run easyx, which is easy execute, hello, it will run our application. So probably you have noticed everything we do is prefixed with easy. And this is not something very uncommon in JavaScript world as well. Because in JavaScript you also want to locally scope specific development tools to your project. And in fact, if I run easy and Vim, so I'm using NeoVim, it will automatically get the right OCaml Merlin binary, which is scoped to this very project. So there is no way you can unintentionally use the wrong Merlin version with your specific project. So if you have two projects with two different Merlin versions, you can still open your editor with easy Emacs, easy Vim, easy VS Code, and be done with it. And your colleagues as well. So you don't have like to troubleshoot on which machine you run which OPAM command to get to the same setup. Right. Also to show you a little bit the home directory. So in the home directory you find the easy thing, and in here you find all the install cache information, or so let's see, even all the source code. So it tracks the source code, the build artifacts, the build binaries, and you can just, if you want to wipe the whole cache, just remove the whole easy directory and it will start rebuilding the whole thing for you as well. I don't do that right now because otherwise we will just watch OCaml compile, which is not very fun at all. So let's mess around a little bit with the existing dependencies. So we have our package.json file. And let's say we want to install a different Merlin version. So we just put in, oh, first of all, we would do easy show. And we want to know which Merlin version exists. It will query the open repository. Takes a while. And we will have, for instance, the version 3.1.0, right? So I added the version in here. It's an exact version. We save it. And now the only thing I do is easy install. Actually, there is these two commands, easy install and easy build. Usually you would just run easy and it will do both. Because it's so fast, you don't really see the difference anyway. Okay, so it installed the things. And the only thing to verify it, so first build, of course. And now you can see that it needs to build Merlin OPAM 3.1.0 because it doesn't have this specific information yet.
So what does easy install do? It only download the sources, but it doesn't build the package?
It will just...
Can you repeat the question, please?
Oh, what does easy install do if it's not building anything, right? So easy install is just checking your existing log information, the changes in your package.json, and if anything changed in the dependency tree. So if there are some packages which are requiring a different LWT version or other packages which require another LWT version, it will just resolve this information. If it recognizes there are certain changes in these subtrees, it will just configure the build procedure to rebuild these specific parts. So we built, okay, just to verify, we ls built. Okay, everything is built. So by this definition, it should actually show us, yeah, a version unknown. Apparently, this version has no version number set. So yeah, it's hard to tell if this now works. So maybe let's try something else. We just go back into the package.json. And this time we add a caret to specify a specific range. So inside the 3.2.0 branch, install any. So it resolves the Merlin package again, finds the meta information. Oh man, I'm not even through phase 2 and I have 6-7 phases. Okay, hopefully I will get this right up in time. So now if we try OCaml Merlin minus version here, you can see that it now installed v3.2.2. And if I run, of course, my nvim, it will also just recognize that. Right. So, okay, this was also trivial. So let's see if we can add some dependency. And I like my yo.json package a lot, so let's see what versions there exist. So we have 1.7.0. So we just added a dependency at OPAM, yo.json. I think we just install it, doesn't matter. Right, we build it. That's it. Apparently it hit a cache because it was very fast. And so now we have everything in there. We go into the project. We go into the Dune file. Add yo.json in there. Go into the hello file. Let's use it somewhere. I don't care. So, like this. And if we now run easy, it automatically builds this whole thing with Dune because we configured it like this. And now we can see that it infers all the information for me by using just OCaml and Merlin. So this is working. And now let's go into a more complicated case. Let's say we are working on a feature and we realize that yo.json is not working in a specific version. We need to downgrade yo.json. So now we would go into this, downgrade yo.json to a specific version. Where is yo.json? I think 160 was a version number, right? Sadly, my internet connection is very slow. Yeah, 160 was a version. We just do easy. Right? And it just built. Yeah, so everything is still working. Did I actually wait. Okay, this is not synchronized. So we are in the downgrade branch. And if we just check out master again, we would just run easy. That's it. And we are already... Oh, it's still using the... Okay, just imagine I checked it in and I go back to master, which is 170, and we do easy build. Well, and we are now on yo.json 170. And I think this is something which is kind of relieving because sometimes I get scared when I'm trying to mess around with OPAM. I know you can recover a certain OPAM state, but like to switch to a branch and then go back and then maybe use a different OCaml version, which is even more a hassle. You need to create a switch, you need to wait half an hour. I mean, it really depends on, I guess for more advanced users, they get their ideas. But for if I tell a JavaScript developer to handle OPAM like right away, we had a hard time convincing them because they are saying, why shouldn't we just use npm for that? I'm way faster with...
So you created another tool.
Well...
I mean, if you want some feedback from an industrial user.
Yeah, I think we have lots of tools, and I think there are some useful things, but why not just contribute and have one tool, or in fact that does what it needs to be done?
Okay.
Because you see, another example, one of the things we were complaining. I mean, I'm not criticizing. It's just to give an example. You had to change your easy file, and then change also the Dune to make it consistent. I mean, this is.
But you need to adapt the Dune file so it recognizes that you're using this library, right?
Yes, but that's the point. So that's one of the points we were raising before. Today, and you're not doing any better. If you use OPAM and Dune, you have to say things twice, in a way. Okay, because we have if we take the YoJSON dependency, you have it in OPAM with the version, and then you have the library in Dune. And it would be nice to have dependency once.
I mean, you have the dependency.
Also,
you have the dependency either in the OPAM file or you have it in the package.json file.
Sorry?
Do you mean that we have to synchronize it in the package.json file or in the OPAM
I mean,
file?
I say that we, as industrial user, we would like to say things once. Because if you had to say it twice, there is a chance for mistake. And then have the tool that generate what needs to be generated or synchronize. You see?
Yeah. I didn't really go into this OPAM synchronization thing yet. I think I don't have enough time to do that. So one thing I wanted to show is that you can actually use an OPAM file as your source of truth. You don't need really to maintain a package.json file. You need one shim file, which points to the OPAM file. But other than that, you can consume an OPAM file and just do the dependency definitions in there as well. Anyways, another thing I wanted to show is that Easy does also maintain npm repository. Like it can retrieve npm files. So for instance, if I just want to consume an npm package called gentype, which is also published on npm, it will create nothing in node modules because it's using the plug and play feature of Yarn, which means it will maintain all the JavaScript code in the AZ store, which I showed you before, which is located in the home directory. But I can still use Node here. Or actually, maybe say Lodash, which is utility lib. And if we want to use Lodash, we can just consume it like this. And stuff like this. So we needed this. We need to maintain this npm connection and OPAM connection. We want to be able to push to both and pull from both and release to both. So we can also, the problem with OPAM, for instance, or which is also a good problem to have, is that everything you want to commit to OPAM needs to be verified, needs to be a pull request, you need to merge it, you need to put it in CI, and only if CI is green you can merge it. On NPM you can basically release or do pre-releases, just push it to NPM. Also Easy provides you with an NPM release command. Which will create you a release folder. And in there is everything you need to just publish your executable on NPM. And there are many, many more things which I wanted to show, but I don't really have time for it. So let's go back to the presentation. So the summary. So what we try to achieve is to have reproducible builds, to have seamless OPAM integration, and to have multiple sandbox settings. So if I want to have the same project with different dev dependencies in different OCaml versions and such, I can run them through Easy. I can provide the context it needs to use, and it creates separate sandboxes out of it without touching your global OPAM installation. The caveats, of course, for NPM users, it's probably not related for you because you don't use too much of NPM, but it only uses the plug-and-play format by Yarn. That means that certain post-install procedures and everything what is relying on node modules, folder, or I/O on file system level doesn't really work. And also not all life cycles are supported. So the post-install hook is supported, but the pre-install, for instance, is not. And the caveats for OPAM users is, first of all, the unfamiliar workflow that you have to prefix everything with Easy when you run a command. And in certain conditions, for instance, if you would use Easy with the Dune project, so if you check out Dune and you shim Easy on it, some tests are breaking because some tests are relying on the OPAM global environment. So that's something, if you're relying on OPAM global environment, it's also sometimes a problem. Other than that, Does it replace OPAM? Not really, as you said, because OPAM is not only the CLI. It's a whole system with built test infrastructure, high quality curated package ecosystem, and Easy is just focusing on this command line part to get this right, and adds additional NPM support as well. So is it ready yet? It is. So Facebook is heavily using it internally for their projects, and also Jordan Walk, who has been building this thing together with Andre Pop, they have been testing it heavily. Windows is still in beta, and they also upstreamed some things to OPAM, so to make it more Windows friendly. So this is something they contribute back to the OCaml ecosystem. There might be some small breaking changes which will be communicated right away. And it's recommended if you use Easy to join either the Reason or OCaml Discord, where people are actively helping each other getting the setup right. Cool. So that's from my side. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed.
So, good job. So I don't know if you're the developer of Easy, but so I'm personally not a user of OPAM. I'm a user of Nix. I don't know if you heard of Nix.
I heard of Nix, yeah. But
basically everything that you've shown with Easy, this is what I do with Nix, like sandboxing, having things local to a project, running everything in a contained environment, and so on. But it's really there is a big problem with Nix, which is that well, it's not really a problem, but it's more of an inconvenience, which is that you have a whole package ecosystem to use. So basically, you have to. You can't rely on what has been done for OPAM when you are using Nix. And on the other hand, in your case, with Easy, you can do the same, but without repackaging everything. Mm-hmm. So that's a good point. And the other good point is that obviously it's easier to use for casual users. For instance, I wouldn't recommend Nix to anyone. I would recommend it only to developers who are ready to invest the time. But I'm interested in Easy now because so I'm part of the Cog development team, and we are using OPAM for distributing Cog packages. We have our own archive, OPAM archive, but the problem is that OPAM is not really easy to use for casual users. Like,
Sorry, we're all running out of time.
oh, sorry.
Maybe it's better offline.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. So great jobs. And
yeah, you should try it if you didn't know. Yeah. Another question.
So imagine you have an OCaml library that compiles nicely without any Unix dependency, and then you want to mix it with the ReasonML file. I mean, you want to use this library from a ReasonML and BuckleScript to compile everything to JavaScript. And then, for example, put it in a browser. Can you do it with Easy?
I mean, this is a build system related problem. So if you're using Dune, Dune has first level Reason support. So you can mix Reason files with OCaml files, and it will just pick it up. Is this what you mean? Or do you? Oh, you mean if I want to use BuckleScript related workflow?
Yeah, I would like to pull a package from OPAM that it's OCaml, and then use BuckleScript to compile everything to JavaScript, link it to a ReasonML file, and then push it to a browser as a JavaScript library.
Yeah, so ironically, BuckleScript is not yet compatible with Easy because it's not plug-and-play compliant. It's relying heavily on node modules as a folder. So far, it's not really possible. But with JS of OCaml, it works. yeah. Right now, it's leveraging more the native workflows. But for bucket script workflows, they need to figure it out. There's an issue explaining what needs to be done. There not just needs to be the time to implement it, to make it plug and play compatible. But then it should be possible.
With JS of OCaml, it works. I mean, you can already do this.
Yeah, so Dune supports JS of OCaml quite well.
That's on the Dune side. I meant on the reason.
I mean, this was easy doing. Easy is running Dune to build your project. If
I mean, the problem is I use JS of OCaml, but then I have a missing link that is the reason file that is interface with with JS of OCaml. I produce the JavaScript stubs, and then I need to bind them with the reason stubs. So I need to basically write the types and externals and the name of the function. And is this kind of an automatic thing?
No, I don't. I think for that you need bucket script as a build system. So I don't. But let's talk later about
absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Alright, sorry about the noise. Thank you again, Patrick.